The reason quantum manifestation fails for most people isn't because it's complex, it's because it's too simple. We live in a culture that has conditioned us to believe worth equals work, value equals struggle, and results require sacrifice. From childhood, you've been programmed with the narrative that anything meaningful must be difficult. Achievement demands suffering. Love requires pursuit. Abundance needs earning. This programming runs so deep that when you encounter something that works through ease, your entire system rejects it. Quantum manifestation operates on principles that directly contradict everything you've been taught about how reality works. Where traditional thinking says force creates results, quantum reality says resistance dissolves flow. Where conventional wisdom preaches try harder, quantum mechanics demonstrates align deeper. This isn't just philosophical contradiction. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of how consciousness interfaces with the quantum field. Here's what makes this paradox so profound. The simpler something truly is, the more violently the conditioned mind fights against it. Your ego has been trained to validate itself through complexity, through difficulty, through the story that struggle equals worthiness. So when you discover that manifestation can happen through effortless coherence rather than forceful manipulation, something inside you whispers, "This can't be real. If it were this easy, everyone would do it." But that's exactly the trap. You turn quantum manifestation into a method instead of recognizing it as a state of being. You create techniques where none are needed. You build frameworks where only frequency matters. You establish practices where presence is sufficient. The universe isn't responding to your spiritual to-do list. It's mirroring your vibrational signature. Most people have been told that desire plus action equals manifestation. But quantum physics reveals something radically different. Manifestation works through certainty, not desire. The moment you need something to happen, you've stepped out of the frequency where it can occur. The universe isn't testing your dedication. It's reflecting your energetic truth. Consider this. The more layers of doubt, contradiction, and internal conflict you carry, the more scattered your signal becomes. A scattered signal can't collapse a coherent reality. This is why complexity and manifestation is actually a sign of inner fragmentation, not spiritual sophistication. In quantum mechanics, there exists what scientists call coherence, the state where multiple elements synchronize into unified harmony, amplifying each other's power. When particles achieve coherence, even minimal input creates maximum output. Your consciousness operates identically. When your thoughts, feelings, and expectations align into coherence, you become a focused signal capable of influencing reality without force, without manipulation, without exhaustion. But coherence emerges through clarity, not effort. And clarity arises only when you release the mental noise, the emotional static, the unconscious addiction to struggle. This resistance to ease isn't your fault. It's been programmed into you for decades. You've been taught that security comes from control, that outcomes require effort, that worth demands earning. Yet if you examine the most transformative moments of your life, they likely occurred when you weren't forcing anything. You weren't strategizing when you met the person who changed everything. You weren't planning when you discovered the opportunity that shifted your path. You weren't trying when the insight that transformed your perspective simply arrived. In those moments, you were receptive. You were open. You were resonating with possibility. And because of that openness, reality responded. This isn't coincidence. This is quantum alignment attempting to operate in your life right now. But first, You must dissolve the belief that difficulty is the only path to depth. Let me be clear. This isn't about becoming passive. This isn't about avoiding action or responsibility. This is about aligning your energy before moving your body. It's about operating from magnetism rather than momentum. Manifestation isn't about doing, it's about becoming. You don't attract what you chase. You attract what you embody. And embodiment only occurs when you allow yourself to be what you seek, without forcing, without grasping. So here's the question that will determine everything. What if ease isn't the enemy of achievement? What if the simplicity of quantum manifestation isn't a spiritual shortcut, but the actual architecture of how consciousness creates reality? What if your resistance to believing it could be this easy is the only barrier between you and your breakthrough? Stay present with me, because we're about to explore how this invisible resistance to simplicity gets constructed in your consciousness and how you can finally dissolve it. Not through more effort, but through surrendering to the power of alignment. This isn't just a mental shift. This is a frequency shift, and it's beginning right now. Let's establish something crucial. Simplicity in quantum creation is not the same as inaction. It's not spiritual bypassing. It's not wishful thinking. It's not sitting around waiting for magic to solve your problems. Simplicity is precision. It's energetic mastery. Most importantly, it's the natural result of deep resonance with the frequency of your desired reality. In quantum language, simplicity equals coherence, and coherence is the foundation of all powerful creation. Classical physics taught us that force generates results. Apply more pressure, move with greater speed, exert additional power. This became our survival template. But quantum reality operates by completely different laws. Energy moves through the path of least resistance. Pause and absorb that. Energy doesn't seek the most challenging route. It doesn't glorify struggle. It discovers the opening and flows with grace, speed, and elegance. This means that in quantum reality, increased effort often creates increased resistance. But relaxing into alignment creates flow. Think about how often you complicate your desires. You envision what you want, and within moments, your mind floods with complications. How will this manifest? What if I'm unprepared? What if it requires too much time? That's not clarity. That's interference. That's static disrupting the signal. And the quantum field responds to what? Clean frequency. And frequency cannot be chaotic. It must be coherent. If this understanding is beginning to shift something inside you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. You're becoming part of a frequency that's transforming how we understand reality itself. Simplicity isn't the absence of intelligence. It's the mastery of focus. It's the moment you stop questioning whether your desire is achievable and begin living from the reality where it already exists. Coherence, as quantum physics explains, occurs when all components of a system vibrate in harmony: unified frequency, synchronized rhythm, singular intention, zero contradictions, zero internal conflict. When your thoughts, emotions, and expectations operate in unity, your entire being becomes a magnetic field, and the universe has no choice but to mirror that unified signal back to you. But most people operate in complete incoherence. They speak one thing, feel another, and expect something entirely different. That's not alignment. That's fragmentation. This is why simplicity holds such power. It eliminates internal contradiction. When you simplify your manifestation approach, you remove the interference. You stop needing to comprehend every mechanism. You stop needing to validate your worthiness. You stop obsessing over the how and concentrate entirely on the what and the who. What do I choose, and who do I become to match that choice? That's all. Everything else creates noise, and noise keeps you vibrating in confusion, which maintains your desires at a distance. Here's a practical example. Imagine tuning an old radio. You adjust the dial slowly, hearing static and interference. Voices fade in and out. Then suddenly, clarity. The music emerges clear and strong. That's what happens when your internal state achieves coherence. That's what simplicity feels like. The station was always broadcasting. You just needed to tune into it. In quantum manifestation, the station is your desired reality, and the tuning dial is your vibration. But simplicity demands trust. It requires releasing your addiction to control. You don't need to manage every variable. You need to align your signal. Because the truth is, most of your desires are already attempting to reach you. They're already waiting, vibrating, resonating in the field. But your complexity, your need to force, to overthink, to micromanage, creates resistance. It's like constructing a barrier between you and what already belongs to you. Simplicity isn't weakness, it's mastery. So how do you embody this kind of simplicity? You start with stillness. You give yourself permission to stop pursuing. You allow your nervous system to find safety without constant movement. Then you choose the version of yourself that already possesses the desire, not as imagination, but as identity. You speak from their perspective. You move from their energy. You decide from their frequency. You become that version completely, right now, without hesitation. And the universe, governed by quantum resonance, must respond. Remember this: complexity signals doubt, simplicity signals trust. The more you believe it must be difficult, the more you'll create difficulty. But when you understand that energy flows where alignment exists, you stop doing more and start being more. You align, you allow, and you finally recognize that the universe was never withholding anything. It was simply waiting for your signal to become clear. Let's continue deeper, because next I'll reveal how your mind, conditioned by survival programming and fear, creates friction that blocks your natural manifestation abilities, and how one small internal shift can unlock your greatest expansion. This transcends mindset. This is quantum simplicity in action. In quantum mechanics, there's a concept that revolutionizes how we understand manifestation: coherence. Coherence describes the state when multiple elements, particles, waves, or systems align into perfect harmony, functioning not as separate fragments, but as one unified entity. When coherence is achieved, energy becomes concentrated, powerful, and directed. It doesn't scatter. It doesn't dissipate in noise. It produces outcomes that are reliable, consistent, and potent. And this principle is what makes manifestation effortless. Not because you're passive, but because your energy is finally unified. Let's examine this more closely. Picture particles in a chaotic system, each vibrating in random directions, colliding with one another, dispersing energy. That's what incoherence looks like: noisy, inefficient, unfocused. Now picture those same particles suddenly synchronizing, moving in harmony, aligning with a shared rhythm. What occurs? The energy amplifies. The system begins organizing itself. The outcome becomes not only predictable but powerful. This is exactly what happens within your consciousness when you achieve internal coherence. Your thoughts, emotions, and physical body vibrate as one unified field. I'm curious, can you think of a moment in your life when everything just flowed effortlessly, when you weren't trying but things fell into place perfectly? Share that experience in the comments below. These moments are clues to your natural coherent state. The challenge? Most people exist in complete incoherence. They think they want one thing, prosperity, love, peace, but their emotions broadcast something completely different. Fear, doubt, limitation, and their actions follow that emotional frequency. They declare, "I believe in prosperity," while living in anxiety about money. They proclaim, "I trust the process," while obsessively monitoring their manifestations for evidence. This isn't alignment. This is energetic warfare. And the quantum field, which operates on resonance rather than language, mirrors that incoherence perfectly. It doesn't hear your words, it reads your being. Here's the breakthrough insight. Your manifestation isn't stuck because you're not doing enough. It's stuck because your signal is fragmented. You're broadcasting mixed frequencies into a field that only responds to coherence. So to the field, your energy communicates, "I want, but I don't trust. I hope, but I don't feel deserving. I request, but I don't receive." This is why manifestation feels challenging, because incoherence creates a noisy signal. It weakens your vibrational field. It dilutes your power to collapse a specific outcome. But when you simplify, when you clean up the interference, everything transforms. Simplicity in this context means internal agreement. It means selecting one frequency and maintaining it. It means your inner world stops arguing with itself. Your thoughts become clear. Your emotions become calm. Your body stops operating from survival mode. And this trinity, mind, heart, body, becomes a coherent field. That's when quantum reality responds. Not eventually, not someday, but immediately, because your reality is no longer fighting itself. This is the science behind why less truly is more. Not because you're doing fewer things, but because every movement of your energy becomes precise. You no longer advance 5 steps and retreat 4. You no longer waste energy in mental loops, emotional turbulence, or physical exhaustion. Your life becomes elegant, efficient, aligned. You stop trying to manifest and begin being the manifestation. And the moment you embody it completely, the quantum field reflects that embodiment with speed and precision. Now, what we've explored today about coherence and quantum simplicity is really just the entry point into a much deeper understanding of how consciousness actually creates reality. If you're feeling this shift happening within you, if these concepts are landing not just intellectually, but experientially, then you might be ready for what I call the complete frequency transmission. The 9 master frequencies that transform you from someone who tries to manifest into someone who simply broadcasts their reality into existence. I've mapped out this entire journey in Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery, where we explore how to move from unconscious transmission into becoming the conscious broadcast itself. It's linked in the pinned comment below. Let's go even deeper. In neuroscience, coherence also applies to brainwave patterns. When your brain operates in high beta, stress, overthinking, survival mode, your brainwaves are scattered. But when you shift into alpha or theta, relaxation, visualization, intuition, the brainwaves become synchronized. Research shows that this synchronization enhances your ability to influence the subconscious mind, which serves as the gateway to quantum reality. In other words, coherence is not just a spiritual principle, it's a measurable neurological state. And here's where the spiritual truth meets the science. When you stop overdoing and start aligning, your body receives the signal that you're safe. The nervous system regulates, heart rate stabilizes, stress hormones like cortisol decrease. Your immune system strengthens. Your intuition sharpens. You enter a physiological state of allowing, and in that state, the state of coherence, you become a portal for quantum creation. You're no longer forcing your future. You're allowing your timeline to synchronize with who you've already become. Now you can see, simplicity isn't about doing less and hoping for magic. It's about stepping into energetic congruence. It's about becoming the clear, clean, consistent signal that quantum reality cannot ignore. And when you achieve that, when your entire being affirms one timeline, you collapse it. Not tomorrow, but now. Because the quantum field isn't bound by linear time. It responds to vibration, and your vibration becomes law the moment it becomes coherent. In our next exploration, I'll show you how to apply this practically, not through force, but through frequency. You'll discover how to access the specific emotional and mental states that generate coherence in real time and how to use them as levers to shift your entire reality. Stay close. This is where simplicity transforms into power. Let me offer you something rare in the world of manifestation guidance. Simplicity that actually produces results. Not wishful thinking, not motivational concepts, but a framework grounded in quantum principles and real-world application. Because if we've learned anything so far, it's this: complexity isn't power. Clarity is. In this section, I want to share with you a three-part alignment framework, not a rigid system to follow, but an energetic upgrade you can embody every single day. These shifts will recalibrate your relationship with desire, timing, and trust. And that recalibration is what allows manifestation to move from theory into your physical experience. The first shift: choose clarity over control. This sounds simple, but don't underestimate its power. Most people are addicted to control, especially those on spiritual paths. They claim to trust the process, but what they're actually doing is micromanaging the timeline. What should I do next? Is this the right sign? Perhaps I should visualize more. That energy registers as chaos to the quantum field. It feels like noise. It feels like contradiction. But when you become clear on what you want, and more importantly, why you want it, you emit a pure magnetic signal. Quantum reality doesn't require your constant management. It requires a coherent transmission. So once you've requested, once you've chosen, stop adjusting. Stop re-scripting. Stop controlling. Allow it to be. The second shift: release attachment to timing. If you've ever said, "I need this by Friday," congratulations. You just stepped out of quantum reality. Because quantum fields don't operate on schedules. They operate on frequencies, and that frequency, paradoxically, is timeless. Consider this. When you're truly aligned with something, do you feel desperate to force its timing? Number you trust its arrival. You know it belongs to you. Urgency is the vibration of scarcity disguised as strategy. It creates pressure, stress, and tunnel vision, all of which push the desired reality further away. But when you detach from when and focus on who you are becoming in the process, you collapse time itself. Because from quantum perspective, readiness is the only requirement for manifestation, and readiness has nothing to do with calendars. It has everything to do with coherence. And the third shift, perhaps the most revolutionary: trust your initial alignment. That first moment when you felt the desire and it ignited something in your chest, when you said yes, that's complete. That moment was sufficient. That was the energetic transmission. The field received it. The code was activated. But what do most people do immediately after? They repeat it endlessly. They journal it, affirm it, visualize it constantly, not from alignment, but from fear. Fear it didn't register. Fear it wasn't enough. Here's the paradox. Every time you repeat what was already transmitted, you're signaling to the field that you don't trust it received the message. That lack of trust degrades your signal. It's like sending a radio transmission and then checking every few minutes. Did you receive it? Are you certain? That's not coherence. That's resistance. So what if, just for today, you allowed it to be effortless? What if you stopped performing rituals from fear and started resting in the vibration of knowing? Because quantum simplicity isn't laziness, it's elegance, it's energetic mastery. The more consistently you can return to your initial alignment, the original signal, pure and undiluted, the more powerfully it amplifies. You don't create momentum through effort. You generate momentum through frequency purity. Yes, this contradicts almost everything we've been taught. We've been programmed to believe repetition equals dedication. That practice creates perfection. That if we don't keep asking, the universe might forget. But in the quantum model of reality, asking once from a place of aligned certainty is more powerful than asking 1,000 times from a place of energetic doubt. This isn't blind faith. This is quantum physics. The observer collapses the outcome based on their state of observation. When the observation is pure, aligned, and undisturbed, reality responds instantly. So let's interrupt this pattern today. Let's declare together that we're stepping out of complexity and into flow. If any of this is resonating, not just intellectually, but as a felt experience in your body, take a moment and comment below with this phrase: I allow it to be effortless. This isn't a casual affirmation. This is a command, a vibrational choice, a moment of coherence that reprograms your field. When you do this, when you truly surrender the need to manage the process, you unlock something extraordinary. You stop matching the energy of struggle and start emitting the frequency of trust. You begin to embody a truth. Quantum reality has always been waiting for you to remember. You don't manifest through force. You manifest through becoming. In the next section, we'll explore the real reason quantum manifestation feels instantaneous when it works, and why the transformation doesn't require you to change who you are, but to remember what you've always been. Continue with me. The energy you're stepping into is already shifting your timeline. Here's a paradox most people never grasp. The timeline you're trying to access has already been selected. Not because of predetermined fate or cosmic destiny, but because the moment you experienced that desire, it began existing in the quantum field as a real, tangible possibility. What most people misunderstand is that quantum manifestation isn't about creating something from nothing. It's about tuning in. The frequency is already broadcasting. You're not inventing it. You're matching it. And here's where it becomes even more fascinating. You've already connected with that reality before, probably multiple times. You've experienced moments of clarity, intuitive hunches, synchronicities that felt too perfect to be coincidental. Those moments weren't flukes. They were quantum alignments. The problem is, as soon as your mind interjected and whispered, "This is too simple," you disconnected. You returned to old programming. You dismissed the flow as chance, and the field, like a mirror, simply reflected your uncertainty back to you. Simplicity isn't the obstacle, it's the gateway. The mind wants procedure. Quantum reality wants permission. The universe doesn't need you to understand every detail. It just needs your coherence. When you begin to truly allow things to feel effortless, light, natural, you're not lowering your standards or avoiding growth. You're stepping into the vibrational frequency where your highest self already exists. And from there, alignment is automatic. Let's make this crystal clear. You're not chasing your future. You're remembering it. You're realigning with a version of yourself who already made the choice, already experienced the breakthrough, already integrated the wisdom. That's what it means to shift timelines. Not to force a new outcome into existence, but to harmonize your energy with what's already true. This is not spiritual fantasy. This is quantum reality. All timelines exist simultaneously in the quantum field. You don't need to construct the one you want. You just need to stop resisting it. And what is resistance, actually? It's the narrative you tell yourself that says, "This is too good to be true." That's the voice of conditioning. That's the echo of a world that taught you worth must be earned through struggle. But here's the truth. Your value isn't measured by how hard you work for it. Your worth was never questionable. The moment you release the need to suffer for your desires, you step into the timeline that reflects your authentic power. Every time you surrender to simplicity, every time you declare, "I'm allowed to receive with ease," you rise closer to the vibration of your highest self. That version of you doesn't hustle. It doesn't plead with the universe. It doesn't question its alignment. It simply exists in frequency, in flow, in certainty. And in that state, manifestation becomes natural. You don't try, you don't push, you become. This is the real secret behind quantum manifestation. It's not a mystical trick. It's not energy manipulation. It's an act of remembrance, of returning to resonance with the version of you who already has what you desire. When you say yes to simplicity, you say yes to that version. And when your vibration says yes, the universe echoes it instantly. But here's what most manifestation teachings miss. Your nervous system must feel safe for this to work. If your body is in survival mode, if your nervous system is dysregulated, if you're operating from fight or flight, you cannot access the coherent states necessary for quantum creation. This is why many people struggle. They're trying to manifest from stress, from urgency, from fear-based timelines. True quantum manifestation happens when your nervous system is regulated, when your heart is open, when your mind is clear. This is why stillness isn't passive. It's the most active thing you can do. In stillness, you allow your system to recalibrate. You allow coherence to emerge naturally. So pause with me for a moment and feel this in your body. The path you're walking isn't new. It's remembered. You're not lost. You're remembering the coordinates of your soul's frequency. You're not starting from zero. You're simply aligning with the energy of what's already yours. This is how you break the cycle, not by doing more, but by becoming quieter, clearer, truer. If you're feeling this recognition inside, like something just landed deeper than words, breathe with it. Let that breath be your signal. Let it be your quantum permission slip to stop fighting and start flowing. And if you're ready to anchor this in, write this in the comments right now. I remember my timeline, because that's all this truly is. Not learning, not chasing, just remembering. And the more you do, the more the universe organizes itself around your frequency. You'll notice the signs. You'll feel the shift. And eventually, you'll stop wondering when it will happen, because you'll realize it already did. But there's one more piece to this puzzle that I need to share with you, and it's perhaps the most important. You see, what we call manifestation is actually just the visible end result of something much deeper, something happening at the quantum level of reality itself. What most people don't realize is that there's a hidden layer to quantum manifestation that changes everything once you understand it. This layer explains why some people seem to manifest instantly, while others struggle for years. It reveals why certain desires flow to you effortlessly, while others feel impossible. And it shows you exactly how to access what I call quantum flow states. States of consciousness where manifestation becomes as natural as breathing. This hidden layer is what quantum physicists call field entanglement. At the deepest level of reality, everything is interconnected through what Einstein called spooky action at a distance. When two particles become entangled, they remain connected regardless of the physical distance between them. Change one particle, and the other responds instantly, not through any known force, but through a mysterious connection that transcends space and time. Here's what this means for your manifestation. You are already entangled with your desires at the quantum level. The moment a desire arises in your consciousness, it creates an instantaneous connection in the field. Your desire and its fulfillment are quantum entangled. They're two aspects of the same reality, already connected, already unified. But here's where most people get stuck. They treat their desires as separate from themselves. They think, I want this thing over there, creating a subject-object relationship that actually strengthens the illusion of separation. But in quantum reality, there is no separation. There is only the field of consciousness expressing itself as both the desirer and the desired. This is why forcing doesn't work. When you force, you're operating from the assumption that you and your desire are separate entities that need to be brought together through effort. But when you align, you're recognizing that you and your desire are already one. You're just allowing your conscious awareness to catch up with quantum reality. Let me give you a practical example of how this works. Think about a time when you had a strong intuition about something. Maybe you thought of someone just before they called, or you had a feeling about taking a different route that led to an unexpected opportunity. In those moments, you weren't forcing anything. You were simply tuned into the quantum information that was already available. You were accessing your natural entanglement with the field of possibilities. This is what quantum manifestation actually is, learning to consciously access the quantum information that's already there. It's not about creating something new. It's about becoming aware of what already exists at the quantum level and allowing it to collapse into physical reality. But here's what changes everything. Your emotional state determines your access to this quantum information. When you're in fear, doubt, or desperation, you're operating from what quantum physicists call decoherence. You're disconnected from the quantum field. But when you're in states of love, gratitude, excitement, or peace, you're in coherence. You're connected to the field and can access quantum information effortlessly. This is why manifestation teachers tell you to feel good first. It's not just positive thinking, it's quantum physics. Your emotional state is literally your access point to quantum reality. When you feel good, you're coherent with the field. When you feel bad, you're disconnected from it. But here's the deeper truth that most manifestation teachings miss. You don't have to manufacture positive emotions. You don't have to force yourself to feel good. You just have to stop doing the things that disconnect you from your natural state of coherence. Your natural state is joy. Your natural state is peace. Your natural state is love. These aren't emotions you have to create. They're who you are when you're not interfering with yourself. When you stop the mental chatter. when you release the emotional resistance, when you let go of the physical tension, your natural coherence emerges automatically. What old pattern or belief are you ready to release right now to step into this natural coherence? Drop your answer in the comments. Sometimes naming what we're letting go of is the first step to actually releasing it. This is why stillness is so powerful in manifestation. It's not that stillness creates anything, it's that stillness allows you to access what's already there. In stillness, the noise subsides. In stillness, the interference clears. In stillness, your natural entanglement with your desires becomes apparent. Now here's a practice that will change how you relate to manifestation forever. Instead of trying to manifest something, try this. Assume it's already done at the quantum level, and your only job is to allow it to collapse into physical reality. Feel into the truth that you and your desire are already entangled, already connected, already one. When you do this, something profound shifts. You stop trying to make something happen and start allowing something to emerge. You stop pushing against reality and start flowing with it. You stop operating from separation and start operating from unity. This is the secret that quantum manifestation masters understand. Manifestation isn't about getting something you don't have. It's about becoming aware of what you already are. At the quantum level, you already have everything. At the quantum level, all possibilities already exist. Your job isn't to create, it's to choose which possibility to experience. And here's how you choose: through your state of being. Every moment, through your thoughts, emotions, and actions, you're selecting which quantum possibility becomes your reality. When you're aligned with your desire, when you think, feel, and act as if it's already real, you're selecting the timeline where it exists. When you're misaligned, when you think, feel, and act from lack, you're selecting the timeline where it doesn't exist. This is why coherence is so crucial. Coherence means all parts of you are selecting the same timeline. Your thoughts are aligned with your desire. Your emotions are aligned with your desire. Your actions are aligned with your desire. When all parts of you are coherent, the universe has no choice but to reflect that unified selection back to you. But incoherence means different parts of you are selecting different timelines. Your mind might be selecting the timeline where your desire is fulfilled, but your emotions are selecting the timeline where it's not. Your words might be selecting abundance, but your actions are selecting scarcity. This creates quantum interference, conflicting signals that cancel each other out. This is why so many people struggle with manifestation. It's not that the universe isn't responding, it's that they're sending conflicting signals. They're trying to select multiple timelines simultaneously, which creates a quantum superposition that never collapses into a clear reality. The solution is simple. Choose one timeline and align all parts of yourself with it. Stop hedging your bets. Stop keeping one foot in the old reality while trying to step into the new one. Choose your desired timeline completely and let every thought, every emotion, every action reflect that choice. When you do this, when you achieve true coherence, manifestation becomes effortless because you're no longer working against yourself. You're no longer creating quantum interference. You're operating as a unified field, and unified fields have incredible power to influence reality. Stay with me, because what we'll explore next is the final piece that connects everything. It's where simplicity transforms into power, and power becomes your natural state of being. By now, you might feel it, not just as a concept, but as a subtle shift in your body, your breathing, your energy field. There's a resonance moving through you, a quiet recognition that says, yes, this is the way. And that's no accident. That sensation isn't motivational psychology, it's vibrational confirmation. Because quantum manifestation doesn't arrive like a thunderbolt. It whispers through alignment. It arrives as recognition, as remembering. You didn't find this message by chance. You were drawn here by frequency. And something within you, perhaps long before your conscious mind understood, already knew it was time. Time to stop forcing. Time to stop chasing. Time to stop believing that struggle is a requirement for receiving. But let me share something with you that will revolutionize how you understand this entire process. What you've been calling manifestation is actually something far more profound. It's the universe's way of helping you remember who you really are. You see, at the deepest level of quantum reality, there is no separation between consciousness and matter, between observer and observed, between you and what you desire. What appears to be separate objects and events in the physical world are actually just different expressions of one unified field of consciousness. When you truly understand this, manifestation stops being about getting something and becomes about recognizing what already is. This is why children often manifest so effortlessly. They haven't yet learned to believe in separation. They haven't been conditioned to think that they and their desires are two different things. They naturally operate from unity consciousness, where having and being are the same thing. As adults, we've been trained to see ourselves as separate from our environment, separate from our desires, separate from the universe itself. We've learned to think of manifestation as a transaction. If I do the right things, think the right thoughts, and feel the right feelings, then the universe will give me what I want. But this is still operating from separation consciousness. True quantum manifestation happens when you realize that you are the universe expressing itself as a localized point of consciousness. Your desires aren't requests you're making to an external force. They're the universe's way of expressing its infinite creativity through you. When you desire something, it's actually the universe desiring to experience itself in a new way through your unique perspective. This completely transforms your relationship with desire. Instead of seeing desires as problems to be solved or goals to be achieved, you begin to see them as invitations to expand into new aspects of your being. Instead of trying to get something from the universe, you start allowing the universe to express something through you. And here's where the magic happens. When you stop trying to get something and start allowing yourself to be something, manifestation becomes automatic. Why? Because you're no longer operating from the illusion of separation. You're operating from the truth of unity. And in unity consciousness, having and being are the same thing. This is why the most powerful manifestors seem to operate from a place of complete relaxation and trust. They're not trying to make anything happen. They're simply allowing themselves to be expressions of what they desire. They understand that manifestation isn't about changing the world to match their desires. It's about allowing their desires to change them into fuller expressions of who they really are. But here's what most people struggle with. The ego mind cannot comprehend unity consciousness. The ego exists by maintaining the illusion of separation, so it will resist any teaching that threatens its sense of separateness. This is why quantum manifestation often feels too good to be true to the rational mind, because the rational mind operates from separation consciousness. To access unity consciousness, you have to go beyond the rational mind into what I call quantum awareness, a state of consciousness where you directly experience your unity with all of life. This isn't a mental concept. It's a felt experience. It's the felt sense of being one with the field of infinite possibilities. Most people try to access this through meditation, and while meditation can be helpful, there's actually a much simpler way: through presence. When you're fully present, not thinking about the past or future, not analyzing or strategizing, just completely here now, you naturally drop into quantum awareness. In presence, the illusion of separation dissolves, and you experience yourself as consciousness itself. This is why presence is the ultimate manifestation practice. Not because presence makes things happen, but because presence reveals what's already happening. In presence, you realize that your desires are already fulfilled at the quantum level. They're just waiting for you to align with them in consciousness. And alignment in consciousness doesn't require effort. It requires recognition. It's the recognition that what you desire and who you are at the deepest level are not two different things. Your desire for love is actually love recognizing itself. Your desire for abundance is actually abundance recognizing itself. Your desire for peace is actually peace recognizing itself. When you have this recognition, manifestation becomes effortless because you're no longer trying to become something you're not. You're simply allowing yourself to be what you already are. You're not trying to attract love. You're allowing yourself to be love. You're not trying to create abundance. You're allowing yourself to be abundance. You're not trying to find peace. You're allowing yourself to be peace. This is the ultimate simplicity of quantum manifestation. Be what you desire, and manifestation happens automatically. Not as a technique or a practice, but as a natural expression of your true nature. But there's one final piece I need to share with you, and it's perhaps the most important of all. This journey of remembering who you really are, this isn't something you do alone. You're part of a larger awakening that's happening on this planet right now. More and more people are beginning to remember the truth of unity consciousness, and as they do, they're making it easier for others to remember as well. This is because consciousness is not individual, it's collective. When you align with your true nature, you're not just transforming your own life. You're contributing to the transformation of all life. Your personal awakening becomes a gift to the collective consciousness of humanity. The universe has never required that of you. It only required your coherence, your clarity, your willingness to let it be simple. And that's the final transformation. To stop intellectualizing manifestation and start becoming the frequency of it. Not as something you activate occasionally when you're feeling spiritual, but as a baseline, as a way of being, as your default vibration. But here's what I need you to understand. This shift you're feeling right now, this isn't just about manifestation. This is about remembering who you actually are at the quantum level. You see, quantum physics has revealed something extraordinary about the nature of reality itself. At the deepest level, everything is vibration, everything is frequency, everything is consciousness expressing itself in infinite forms. What this means is that you are not separate from the quantum field. You are the quantum field, localized into the experience of being human. When you align with your desires, you're not asking an external universe to give you something. You're remembering that you and your desires arise from the same source. You're recognizing that the separation between you and what you want is an illusion created by limited perception. This is why manifestation feels effortless when it works, because there's no actual gap to bridge. There's no distance to travel. There's only remembering, only alignment, only tuning in to what was always there. Let this be your new anchoring truth. I allow it to be effortless. Say it again. Let your entire system soften into it. This isn't avoidance. This isn't spiritual bypassing. This is quantum intelligence. This is how nature operates. A tree doesn't strain to grow. A river doesn't struggle to flow. The universe expands not through force, but through harmony with itself. And you are part of that same quantum intelligence. You just forgot. But now you remember. If this video stirred something within you, if it felt like more than information, if it activated something, then you might be ready for what I call quantum coherence training. A deeper exploration of how to stabilize this frequency in your daily life. Not through more techniques, but through embodied understanding. If this conversation is touching something in you that feels like coming home, if you sense that this isn't just content, but a frequency you want to stay connected to, then I invite you to subscribe, not just to this channel, but to this movement. This is about creating a community of people who are remembering how reality actually works, who are stepping out of the old paradigms of force and struggle and into the quantum paradigms of coherence and flow. Because here's what I know to be true. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not missing anything. Everything you've ever asked for is already in motion. Not because you forced it, but because you're finally matching it. And the more you relax into this alignment, the faster life begins to reflect it. You are no longer chasing, you are aligning. And that shift, that changes everything. The old you might have thought you needed to become someone different to have what you want. But the quantum you understands that you already are who you need to be. You just need to stop arguing with that truth. Now, as we close this conversation, I want you to do something with me. Take one deep breath. Inhale gently. Exhale completely. In this moment, you don't need to control anything. You don't need to repeat anything. You don't need to struggle for anything. You just need to be. And if you feel moved to, drop one word in the comments that captures the energy you're choosing to embody as you step into this new way of being. Just one word. Let it be your quantum signature to the field, your declaration of who you're becoming. Consider watching this video again tomorrow morning. Let it set the frequency for your entire day. Or share it with someone who's been struggling with manifestation. When you share these quantum consciousness principles, you're not just helping them. You're creating an energetic ripple that reinforces your own understanding and accelerates the collective awakening we're all part of. And remember, if this resonated with you, if you felt the shift, then subscribe not just to stay connected to more content, but to stay aligned with this frequency. Because the more of us who embody this truth, the more the world reflects that reality. And the fact that you've stayed with me through this entire exploration tells me you're operating as what I call the observer voice. The part of you that recognizes how your internal dialogue literally reinforces what you see in your external reality. This awareness of how consciousness shapes perception is the foundation of everything we've discussed today. And it's exactly what you need to explore next to deepen this quantum understanding.